Hello again, everyone. I'm Paul, the Nitro Skywers, and welcome once again to another edition of the Nitro Corner. This is a special edition of the Nitro Corner, your 1CW Brothers in Arms post-show report. 1CW Brothers in Arms was a tremendous turnout at the Camden, Wyoming Fire Hall in Camden, Delaware this past Saturday night. I'm going to get right to the results and some analysis for you fans and talk a little bit more about July 21st, because I just got news this morning about a match just signed for that big card. It all started out with Kiko, the Flying Hawaiian, scoring a victory over Robbie Zuko, substituting for Rich Swann. Because of that victory, Kiko will get a shot at the 1CW Cruiserweight Championship at a later date. But before even that match began, there was a moment of silence to commemorate the life and death of Randy Macho Man Savage. Very classy act by 1CW. Very classy act. I'm very impressed. Now back to the match itself, the first match. I'm very impressed with Kiko, the Flying Hawaiian. He's got a good rhythm, great style, real exciting for the fans. Kiko, very impressive that night. Next up was a four-way match. Originally supposed to have been a tag match. It was a four-way elimination match that saw Chance Sevenfold scoring a victory over Katori, Kindred, and Young. I have to admit, though, Kindred is a very impressive athlete. I was very impressed with his size and agility as a great competitor, and we'll be seeing more of him. In the near future. As far as this situation involving Katori and Chance Sevenfold, it is far from over, as they brawled all the way to the back dressing room after the match is over. It was a very stiff match, but Chance Sevenfold victorious in that one. Moving on now, we had a special edition, or I'll have to excuse me, their notes are kind of a little bit scrambled here this morning. Next up was a special edition of Carlito's Cabana. Well, before the Cabana began, Christian York comes out there all fired up, stating how he was being ignored and that how he was almost being put out of the card and that he doesn't have an opponent. Besides antagonizing fans, I can understand why. But then Carlito sneaks up, instantly setting up Carlito's Cabana with Christian York as his guest. But then out of nowhere comes a surprise as the Heart Killer, Chris Wilde, comes out and states that he wants a shot at the 1CW heavyweight title. But before that, Carlito also wants a shot at the 1CW heavyweight title. Well, out comes Sean Hardy, who announces that there will be a triple threat match for the 1CW heavyweight title for that night between Carlito versus the Heart Killer Chris Wilde versus Christian York for the 1CW heavyweight championship. It was a very interesting cabana, to say the very least, and that would be later on in the night. Next up was the 6-on-3 handicap match, as Brute Force, Doink, the Clown, and Courageous Cruz scored a victory over Pretty Ugly, Violent Intentions, and Justice and Goldstein. Great victory for Brute Force and his team, but there was a very interesting twist in the end because Goldstein blamed Justice for the loss, and then Goldstein decided to lay out Justice with a Michinoku driver. Watch for that feud to be developed between Justice and Goldstein in the very near future, but a big win for Brute Force, Courageous Cruz, and Doink the Clown in the 6-on-3 handicap matchup. Next up, the vacant Delaware State title was on the line, and we have a brand new Delaware State champion as Rob McBride scores a pinfall victory over Justin Credible to become the brand new Delaware State champion. It was a great matchup. Rob McBride certainly has lived up to his potential and is deserving of the Delaware State championship. And no doubt he'll be ready to make his first title defense of the Delaware State Championship in July at the Kings and Queens event. Next up, after an intermission, was a six-man tag team matchup that saw the Patriot, Axel Rotten, and Julio De Niro score a victory over the Brotherhood of Brutality. I have to say this right now, the Brotherhood does not seem like a cohesive unit, to say the very least. I would guess that the Delaware Assassin and Big Anthony Soprano better get the boys in check if they're going to challenge the Briscoes for the 1CW Tag Team Championships. But a big win for the Patriot, Axel Rotten, and Julio De Niro. Next up was the Nigerian Nightmare Challenge. Three teams were going to face the Nigerian Nightmares. Of course, the first team, the Reign of Punishment, they were done in quick order by the Nigerian Nightmares. The Tom City Hit Squad came out there, and thanks to a distraction from their manager, I forget his name at this time, but the Nigerian Nightmares scored a victory over them. And then a new team made their debut. They're called the D-Line. And they took it right to the Nigerian Nightmares. As a matter of fact, it ended up being a double countout, a no contest. I will tell you later on in the show something involving those two teams coming up in July. That'll be in just a few moments. Anyway, the official result was a no contest. And then the co-main event of the evening, my opinion, the match of the night, turned out to be a Camden, Wyoming street fight. Falls counted everywhere and anywhere in the fire hall as Brian Hardy, the Cruiserweight champion, once again retained his title over the former champion Crazy Shay thanks to a sick flip pile driver off the top rope known as the Canadian Destroyer. What a tremendous bout. Brian Hardy, I guess, pulls it out by the skin of his teeth to retain his championship. And if I were Crazy Shay, I would immediately demand a rematch at that Cruiserweight title. But a great effort from Crazy Shay, but Brian Hardy manages to escape with that sick Canadian Destroyer off the top rope to retain his 1CW Cruiserweight Championship. And then in the main event, the three-way match for the 1CW Heavyweight title saw Christian York successfully defend that title as he defeats both Carlito and the Heart Killer Chris Wilde. Bad moment for Chris Wilde as he was attempting a suicide dive. He missed both men and hit very hard on the concrete floor. He was taken out by medical personnel. And as of this morning, I have no idea what his condition is, but I'll try to keep you informed of that in the coming weeks. Otherwise, Christian York defeated Carlito using his, did I say York? Yeah, Christian York used his spinning neck breaker to defeat Carlito to retain the title. But after the match, Carlito executed the backcracker and then with the fans spit apple in his face. But the bottom line is, at the end of the day, Christian York once again proves why he is the 1CW Heavyweight Champion. And that ends the show for 1CW's Brothers in Arms, which without a doubt proved why 1CW, the one I wear on my t-shirt right now, is the premier organization and the flag bearer for independent professional wrestling in the state of Delaware. We are making headways throughout the wrestling world. 1CW proved itself once again at the Camden Fire Hall. Now, and the card Brothers in Arms, fantastic. Now, on to some 1CW news. Found out this morning on Facebook and from Sean Hardy that the July 23rd card, the Kings and Queens card, will be held at the Camden, Wyoming Fire Hall once again Saturday night, or Saturday, July 23rd. I don't know the bell time for that yet, but I do know this. Jerry the King Lawler will still be a part of the Kings and Queens card. That is a solid lot. And I can proudly announce today, thanks to Facebook, that because of the situation involving the D-Line and the Nigerian Nightmares, it will be a grudge match just signed as the D-line. Two very impressive big men forming a great team. The D-line will take on the 800-pound Nigerian Nightmares. You talk about a brawl of the first order. This is going to be good. Plus, don't forget, if it's still signed, the big six-man tag as the Briscoes team up with Papa Briscoe to take on the Brotherhood of Brutality, if that match still exists, or we may see a tag team title match. I'm not too sure about that either. Well, that's it for this special edition of the Nitro Corners 1CW Brothers in Arms card. For more information about maybe obtaining a copy of Brothers in Arms or the Hearts and Headlocks DVD that is available now, go to www.thewrestlingnation.com. Until next time, everyone, this is Paul the Nitro Skyver saying, so long, everybody.